Welcome to MCC Made, the official podcast of Metropolitan Community College.
Giving you a backstage pass to all things MCC with your hosts, Emma Frazier and Katherine Riggs. I was on Instagram,
Okay.
as one is,
Sure.
just rotting. And I don't know. I follow a bunch of things from the 1990s accounts.
Yeah.
When I need a little dopamine hit and they come up, it's nice. And it did a whole post about, I don't remember what the thing said, what the caption said, but it had 90s movies
Okay.
that I'd forgotten existed. And I was just wondering, is there a movie that you and it's most likely animated because I feel like most people's are, that you watched a lot as a kid and people are like, I've never heard of that?
Yes.
What is it?
It's not animated, but it's the movie Fluke, which I think that you and I have talked about before.
Wait, I can picture the cover.
Yeah, it's a dog and he's wearing
In the boots.
And this is a movie that is a fever dream to me that I feel like
Crazy. I swear I watched it at somebody's birthday party.
Okay, do you want to know what I believe? It could be a fever dream, but I believe the plot of this film is.
I'm going to look up the plot on my phone, and then I'm going to have you tell me what you think it is, and then I'm going to read the synopsis.
Okay, I believe that a dad works a lot, dies in a car crash, and is reincarnated into a dog and somehow finds his family and then is spending the quality time he did not spend with his family as a dad, as a dog. Which is dark.
Okay, so you're actually really spot on. This is the overview. Workaholic Thomas P. Johnson, I love they give him an absolutely fake but full name, has achieved professional success at the expense of his family life, having neglected his wife, Carol. Do you remember him neglecting Carol?
I don't.
And son, Brian. After Johnson wrecks his car in a dangerous street race with coworker Jeff.
Oh, a street race? I didn't realize it was a street race.
With his coworker Jeff Newman, also a full name, also played by Eric Stoltz, which I would...
Sure.
He finds himself watching his own funeral. I would place this squarely on Jeff Newman, played by Eric Stoltz. Returning to Earth as a dog, then they just transition right to that. Johnson finds his family and struggles to have a positive influence on their lives in spite of his canine form.
Yeah, he struggles to have a positive influence as a dog. It's like, yeah, what do you expect?
What?
They have to take care of you. Yeah, you're still a burden.
You're a puppy. Do you know what's hard to take care of? A puppy. As someone who has had a puppy and a newborn, I will go on record, the puppy was harder. It was, and babies are hard, but a puppy can move.
Yeah.
And does not wear a diaper.
And eats things.
Yeah. So, there you go.
So that's mine. It's like, how dark of a movie.
Grim. How does it end? Did they find out it's him? Let's look.
I don't know.
If you don't want to hear the end of the movie,
spoiler
fast
alert.
forward. Okay, they name him Fluke?
I guess.
Oh, this is so stupid.
Now you listen here.
Okay, let's see. Wow, the synopsis on Wikipedia is extremely thorough. Also, it's based on a book. Do you want to talk about that?
I didn't know that. Fake
Maybe
fans.
It's time to
read.
to do some summer reading.
I'll add it to my list.
Oh my God, I don't know. I don't have time to read
Okay.
this. It sounds complicated.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I think they probably end up loving the dog, and they live.
Wait a minute.
Or does the dog die?
No, the dog does not die, but somebody is. This is crazy. At some point, Fluke, so Thomas P. Johnson as a dog, is abducted by a man named Sylvester, of course, also given a name. An insane name, to be used in makeup experience as a cosmetics company. Now, you as a child are watching this movie.
I wish that you could see me because I am now in shock.
And he befriends a streetwise dog named Rumbo.
Okay, that kind of tracks with me.
Right. And then it literally says, a dying Rumbo tells Fluke that the black and white snapshot of a man in a sailor suit on Bert's wall was him and Bert with his brother, and that he wishes to smell the sea again, suggesting that he died in the line of duty. Oh my God.
Now, listeners, if Katherine then told me that this is all an elaborate prank, that she made this up, I'd be like, you know what?
I'm reading it off a notes app that I wrote.
That would honestly make more sense than the plot of this film.
Oh, and then Rumbo dies.
I'm sure. I was like, okay, I feel like a dog does die.
Okay, so that's what led me. So then I have to skip to the end to tell you how it ends. But sometimes later, Fluke is resting under a tree on a farm by himself. To his surprise and happiness, he's reunited with Rumbo, who's been reincarnated as a squirrel.
I need to go.
You need to go watch this again.
I need to go.
Also, I do just want to throw out that that Fluke is played by Matthew Modine.
Sure.
So, who you may know as the bad guy in he's like the guy who runs the lab in Stranger Things. Papa. Yeah. He's Papa.
Oh. Okay.
So
I was like, you're gonna name something and you know I'm not gonna know what it is, but I actually do know that.
Oh, also Ron Perlman's in this movie.
As he should be.
Oh my God, and do you know who voices Rumbo? I know you don't, but I'm gonna tell you.
Who?
Samuel L. Jackson.
Katherine, you need to keep Fluke in the back of your mind when you're doing your movie game.
I do. And that's a story for another day. Also, if you're curious, this is not streaming for free anywhere, but you can buy it for like $2.99 on Amazon.
Great.
It sounds worth it to me, honestly, for the emotional journey. It'll probably take you a while.
I want you to watch. Now, I want you to watch it, actually.
I want you to watch me watching it.
Great.
But now I already know the ending, so does all of our listeners.
I think it might still surprise you.
I think we all might learn something along the way. Okay, because did your family, you owned that movie?
I think so.
Yeah, and you're just like, who bought this? Okay, so we had, and this is literally when you bought videos. We owned so many random videos, and I'm like, who bought this for us? How did this end up in our house? How did you hear about it? Where were we? I have a lot of questions. So mine is, so this is the movie that I saw on Instagram that jogged my memory. It was an animated joint called Once Upon a Forest.
Okay.
Absolutely real.
That title sounds very familiar, but I don't.
Let me paint you a picture.
Paint it for me.
Okay. And you can look up the plot to see how accurate I am, but I'll tell you what, I'm pretty accurate.
I was like, you know what? I would, but I'm not going to, because Katherine has a memory like nobody I've ever met.
That's stupid. But about and by that I mean, I remember the dumbest things. If you have a pop culture question, I can probably help you. But if you want to know anything about history, I probably won't. So unless it relates to pop culture somehow.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there was a period, let me just give you a little background. There was a heavy period of time in the 90s where they were making animated films that had weird global messaging, they would say subliminal, but when you watch it, it's pretty upfront about a lot of global warming stuff.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because this is made by the same people who made Fern Gully: The Last Rainforest, which if you watched it as a kid, you were like, oh, that's a fun movie where there's fairies and the guy shrinks down and he gets to live with fairies. No, it's about deforestation, and the villain is Tim Curry playing an evil oil rig smoke cloud. Literally has an amazing song in it. And Robin Williams plays a bat who escapes a testing facility. And as a kid, you're like, oh, he's just a wacky bat. No, it's because he has a wire system put into his head because they were doing experiments on him. Again, has a whole song about it.
Okay.
Anyway, that's not even the movie we're talking about.
We're talking about Once Upon a Forest.
Yes.
And I do have it pulled up.
We are. There's a field mouse. Her name's Abigail. And he's a hedgehog I can picture him, but I can't remember his name. And then there's a mole who I believe his name is Edgar. Am I right?
Hold on. I got very distracted by the fact that Elizabeth Moss voices one of the characters.
Yes, she's Abigail.
I was like, what? Sorry. What? Okay, Abigail. The mole is Edgar. You were correct. Yes. And a hedgehog.
I cannot remember. I can picture Roland.
Russell.
I was like, I know it's an R. Okay. So they go to school. They go to this like badger who like it teaches them. It's like Montessori school probably.
And that's Elizabeth Moss.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. And so they go to learn from him.
Montessori school.
It's a lot of, yeah. I apologize if you send your kids to Montessori. It's very cool.
No, it is. Yeah. Just like the fact that you're just like, they send them to a Montessori. Like Montessori schools are perfectly fine. They're just like in this animated.
That's where they send their kids to. They also know it's the best. And so these three kids go to school, and then there is a fourth little girl who's like the granddaughter of the badger who's their teacher.
Sure.
And at some point then they like smash cut to this oil or this gas truck that wipes out on the road and tips over, and it's like releasing gas into the forest. Again, not subtle. And it makes why it only makes her sick thinking about it now, I don't know. But the granddaughter gets really sick. And they have to go, why they're like, okay, let's send these 3 children to go like get medicine for us. And they have to fly. Then they have to fly this like crazy experiment thing that the badger guy has made that has wings. And they like, it's a journey film. So there's a lot of like characters along the way and all that jazz. And I don't remember how it ends. They like find the medicine or whatever. But I remember that at one point, the poor little mole, Edgar, gets stuck in a trap, and it's like the music is very sad. He doesn't have his glasses on because he's a mole. He has really bad eyesight.
Oh my God.
And like a guy picks up the thing, and you're like a human being picks up the trap, and you're like, oh my God, like this is it.
Bye,
and
Edgar.
then he releases him. So I don't know what they were trying to catch with the trap, but it wasn't moles.
Can't relate.
But anyway, if you ask anybody if they've seen that movie, they absolutely have not, it seems.
Okay.
But I will say, I watched it a lot because at the beginning of this movie, Abigail, our lead, she's like real rambunctious and spunky and like she loves adventure and she loves going to school and like all that jazz. And like I swear, it might be Edgar also that does it, who's like leaving to go to school, and the mom is like, wait, you didn't give me a kiss goodbye. And he goes, oh, I'll kiss you later when I get home. And then they don't like come home. So can I say for years, and by years, I mean like probably into high school, if I tried to leave without giving my mom like a kiss goodbye, she would go, once upon a forest. And I'm like, Mom. Like she'd be like, remember in that movie, she didn't kiss the dad goodbye. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, but she comes back alive. Like,
oh my God.
And so will I, but she just, anyway.
Well, speaking of media, I'm gonna make this segue work.
Yeah, do it.
I'm gonna make it work.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Speaking of media,
we
have somebody. I can't.
No.
I mean, I can, but it would be a really long walk to get there. So I'm not.
We don't have time.
We don't have time. But okay. Today on our podcast, we have Ricardo Castro, who is an MCC alum in the way that he took ESL classes with us back in 2001. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
I guess let's just start with a little bit about yourself and then how you started your journey at MCC.
I'm native from Peru. I lived there up to when I was almost 20. Moved to Miami for a couple of years and studied some English there. Went back to Peru. got my degree in Peru. And then came back married in 2001. And to Miami again. A few months later, moved to Omaha. And one of the first things I did after getting a job was enrolling in English classes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took ESL classes here for, I think, a couple of years. And while I was working, and then later building my business.
Interesting. What brought you to Nebraska?
My wife, she's a teacher,
Okay.
elementary teacher, educated in Peru as well. And she was looking for a job in Miami as a teacher. She couldn't find anything good for her, or almost actually no options for her.
Oof.
And we have a friend of us who she was doing an internship at a Catholic, mainly Spanish-speaking school, or bilingual school in South Omaha. And she's the one who told us, hey, come to Nebraska. They are looking for bilingual teachers. At the beginning, we didn't believe it. Then she sent her resume, got the phone interview, and they flew her this way. She got the job, and we were here, no kids at the time, so we just drove from Miami to here.
Wow. Yeah. So you took classes and got a degree in Miami.
My degree is actually from Peru.
Okay.
My degree is in business administration. I took English classes many years ago there, then went back to Peru. I didn't practice at all in Peru.
Oh, sure.
Our main language is Spanish.
Right.
And then when I came back to Miami, I was working there for a few months, but I realized I wasn't going anywhere. The English wasn't coming back to me. In Miami, there's no much need to use it.
Right.
And of course, I wanted to improve my life, and of course, the wife needed a job in her field, and that's how we ended up here. When I got here to Nebraska, of course, I had a hard time communicating. Mm-hmm. So, and I got a better job right away compared to what I had in Miami, but I needed English too.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I needed to speak to be more fluent in what I was doing. So that's how I enrolled to Metro Community College.
Yeah, I guess. I was thinking in Miami, I mean, Spanish is, I would say, pretty widely spoken in Miami.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, you probably, I mean, yes, if you took English classes and you knew English then, and then if you just don't use it, you lose it.
Yes.
Totally.
It goes away.
Yeah. I used to be pretty okay at Spanish. And then I didn't use it at all. And I should have taken Spanish classes in college and kept using it.
Me too.
I didn't.
It was not my strong suit.
Any language, of course, you speed up the process when you must.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what happened to me here. I mean, I came to work in a company with about 200 people, and only 2 of us spoke different language.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
And so I had to learn the language as soon as possible.
So what was your experience like taking the ESL classes here?
To me, it was pretty practical, which is what I liked in comparing to other English classes that I took back in Peru when I was a kid or a teenager or a younger person. It was pretty practical. Many people who were taking classes, they were working people like me. So we actually went for the goal we had, which was to speak the language as soon as possible and in a proper way. And most of the people who most of the immigrants who had some knowledge of English or some basic grammar in English, it's English from the UK mainly. So when I arrived here many years ago, I thought I knew English, but
funny.
but I couldn't understand a lot because my ears, not even my ears, the words that I used were from British English.
Well, I'm pretty sure that most Spanish that Americans learn is like Spain Spanish in school, because then one of my Spanish teachers was from Mexico, and she was like, actually, if you were speaking to somebody from Mexico, you would say this instead. So it is like, yes, is English from the UK the same? Yes, but also no. Like if you said something like, "Oh, I really like your jumper," they'd be like,
"I'm not wearing
one."
I
don't know what that means. What do you mean a jumper?
No, it's and same thing happens in different languages. In Spanish myself, I mean, I went to live in Miami. I had to learn the way the Cubans speak, and they speak faster. They use different words. They use a lot of Spanglish, and then over here when I started my business, I mean, a big percentage of my clients are from Mexico, so I had to sometimes be careful what I was saying because I could be misunderstood. Things that I said.
So when you're taking classes, you're not just taking them with other Spanish speakers. Are there?
I was going to ask about that, like where other people in that class were from and how many different languages were maybe all in that room learning English.
Yeah, I mean, people from Africa, Asian people, a lot of Latinos as well, too. I remember there was a guy from Portugal at the time. Many people from Eastern Europe. And so, which was better because I took some months of classes in Miami, and most of us were from Latin America. So even the teachers sometimes tended to translate for us, and that's the worst that could happen. I mean,
right.
If you are being translated, you are not gonna improve quick. So when your peers don't speak your language, I mean, if I was learning English and I had a question, I had to turn to the guy next to me and ask the same in a synonym or to ask the question in English, not in my language or his language, right? So that helped a lot. The teachers, I think they realize that we came here for a few hours because we had to do our 8 hours at work, and some of us had 2 jobs, and so they were pretty to the point. And the work that I liked, the homework, that was somehow related to what was happening in the world. I remember doing some kind of assignment about September 11th because when that happened, I was taking classes.
Wow!
So that was that time, and newspapers they asked us to read newspapers, and that helped a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And in my own case, I decided not to have cable at the time, and we didn't have internet. We just came to Omaha. We basically were fresh in this country, so we didn't. My wife was pretty mad at me because we had no kids and
and no internet,
no
internet, no cable. So she had only like 4 channels to watch when she had a free time.
Yeah, I again, just my own experience when I was more proficient in Spanish and using it around native Spanish speakers. It's like a very vulnerable thing to speak in a language that is not your own in front of native speakers.
Yes.
And I assume that in that classroom setting where not only, I mean, yes, there are other Spanish speakers, but people are speaking there's sort of a camaraderie there. Like we all are just trying to figure this. Like, yeah, there's no crutch of like, well, I can just talk to them in Spanish later.
Like, they don't know that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's something very vulnerable about being willing to talk to somebody in their native language when that is not your first language at first. I just think that's so, yeah.
Exactly. But one piece of advice I'm going to tell to people who are learning some other languages, if you are over 25 years old, I think, maybe that's not a rule, but that's what I saw, almost be sure that you are never going to learn 100%. And, or at least you are not going to, maybe not learn it, you're not going to sound exactly like I am. When I realized that I'm never gonna sound like you guys sound, I improved and I was better understood because for many years I was trying to use the same sounds or the same accents and things, and then I realized people weren't understanding me. When I speak with my thick accent and I'm just trying to communicate a proper grammar, people understand me better. And once I realized about that, that was a breaking point for me. And I've been trying to tell my wife the same thing and some other people who came after me. My wife is a teacher. She's a pretty perfectionist person. And so I tell her, I mean, you are doing good. You are doing pretty good. But I mean, it took her a little longer than and she knew more grammar than me when we arrived. She took many years of English in private academies and places in Peru where her grammar was almost perfect.
Well, that's better than most Americans, I would say. I was like,
Yeah.
learning English seems very like as somebody who speaks it natively. You just learn things. It's such a weird language.
So many
Like you think there's a rule,
yeah.
but like no, there's really no rules.
Or there's like, it's kind of a rule except for X, Y, and Z where it actually doesn't apply. So, and then it's like, there's actually a really long list of words like that too. So just, you're going to have to remember all of this. Like
What I was told, and I think it's one of the most difficult languages around English.
I've heard
and,
that
and
too.
there's some sounds that, and I can prove, or I totally know it. There's some sounds. It's not only learning the language. I had to learn sounds,
right.
new sounds that we never used. And we the Spanish speaker, we understand a little bit sometimes if we are involved or interact a lot with Italian people or with Portuguese people. We understand a little bit of what they say or the course of many conversations, and they do the same thing with us. But when English is one of those languages, if you don't know anything, you're not understanding nothing. It's pretty unique.
Yeah, my Spanish teacher in high school, she and of course high school kids are high school kids, but she couldn't say like RD, like the erd. So she had a really hard time with that, and so yeah, it's like things that I don't think about because I've always bird is like it's fine.
Exactly.
But if that combination is not what you're used to, it's a weird noise to make.
The TH sound, the GG sound at the end, different. The Z up to now to me it's so difficult to say any word with Z. The V, and in some places they do better. For example, the Caribbean people, for them to make a difference in the sound between B and V. In South America, many of us, the two letters sound the same. We write them differently, but and we know Victor is with V, but when we said in Spanish, we said Victor. We said the same thing. And Caribbean people, they say it like you guys do it with a V, right?
Interesting. Do you and your wife have children now?
Yeah, we have two daughters. One is 18, the other one is 16.
Are they bilingual as well?
Yeah. We set a rule before even they were born that we had to speak Spanish at home. And a few years later, they didn't want to speak Spanish at home, but they.
I'm sure.
Well, I mean, we talk to them in Spanish up to now, and they answer in English.
Funny.
At one point, maybe 5 years ago, I was pretty concerned and upset that they were losing Spanish. But we take them to Peru maybe now it's once per year. We used to go maybe every 2-3 years. And when they went there, they were fluent, and they have a different accent, perhaps. But but just the accent, the sound of their conversation. But they understand everything, and they can properly communicate in different scenarios.
Yeah, most of my siblings are bilingual, and so they're my sister her kids are also pretty much bilingual. She tried to speak. Her husband doesn't speak Spanish, so she tried to speak Spanish to them at home, but then their babysitter spoke Spanish to them only.
That helps.
And then the school that they're in, half their day is in English and half their day is in Spanish. All of it. So like they would take their math class all in Spanish or whatever it is. And it's very funny. Of course, they're 10 and under right now. So it's very funny if like I try to speak to them in Spanish. They don't respond to me. They're like, good try. Yeah, they're like, no. They're like, you don't speak. Don't do that. You don't speak Spanish.
No, it's a matter of getting used to it. Well, my wife taught them how to read and write in Spanish, so that they also read and write in Spanish as well.
Yeah, I think that is for my siblings for sure. They were like, oh, I can absolutely hold a conversation in Spanish. But yeah, if you asked me to write a paper or because they were in school and they were just learning English, so they're like, I couldn't tell you any grammar rules, anything in Spanish. I could absolutely have a conversation with you.
Well, they learn the most difficult part, which is speaking. If they ever want to learn how to write or read, it's going to be easier, actually.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I'm horrible at math and English. If you had asked me to do math with Spanish instruction. Oh my God. I'd still be in that class.
Well, thankfully, I mean, they start it when they are in kindergarten. They start right away.
That's better.
Yeah. So so my oldest nephew got into that program and has been doing it the whole time. So all of his siblings kind of got grandfathered in. And again, thankfully their babysitter spoke Spanish only to them. And, before they were in school, they were with her all the time. So you just figure it out.
So, Adam, this is the new you?
That's me. With my degree in 3D animation, I'll be ready for the next level.
Chris, you sure got a lot of...
Drive? You know it. I'll be a certified power sports technician in less than a year.
Hey, Jackson, what do you see?
Me as a first responder when I get my degree.
Hey, Mia, did you hear?
I can knock out my gen eds before transferring to university.
Saving time and money. Get up to speed on your me time. Classes start June 5th. Get started at mccneb.edu/me.
So you now own your own business, correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
2 years after I arrived, I went through the real estate classes and got my license.
Mm-hmm.
And since 2003, I've been a realtor. That's what I do as a full-time business. And about 12 years ago, I put together a group of bilingual agents, and I lead a team of agents. We are 9, and serving about 70% of our production goes with the Hispanic community.
Oh, I'm sure.
In Omaha, Lincoln, surrounding areas, and all the way to Council Bluffs, Sioux City, places like that.
Yeah, I assume some of them are bilingual and some of them only speak Spanish.
Yeah.
But buying a house, if you know the native language, is overwhelming. So I'm sure it's nice to have somebody there to help along the way that speaks both Spanish and English to really explain what's going on.
Yeah.
'Cause, again, as somebody who's bought a house, if there was a language barrier somewhere and I was trying to buy a house, I'd be very overwhelmed, even more overwhelmed.
Yeah, because it's already a lot of terms you have never heard and
It's like
paperwork that
escrow?
never ends. Yeah.
What does that mean? Never. That wasn't in my English class. I don't know what escrow is.
Exactly. Even Spanish. I mean, if I never purchase a house in Peru, if I go there to buy a house, the lingo is not going to be common for me. So.
And then you are also on our foundation, the MCC Foundation Board, correct?
Yes. I've been. This is my second term. I just came back. I used to be there for 3 years. By laws, you have to take a break if you want to come back, and that's what we did.
So how did you get involved with our foundation?
I was invited actually by a mutual. It's a friend of mine who happened to be in the board before, and I've been helping in different nonprofits and boards over the years, related to business or related to serving my community. And I was invited. I asked about what was about, and I really like what the board does. And I came to this college not for long, but at the same time, I'm a witness of the improvements in any aspect, from infrastructure to systems and everything else, and it's a total different entity than what I came in 2001. So.
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking all the growth that has happened since then is wild. So, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What are some some projects on the foundation that you've been particularly proud of?
I've been in my previous 3 years. I was on the membership committee, inviting or looking for talent or community members who could come and help in different aspects and from different backgrounds. We serve as ambassadors for the college, but in order to bring people to the board, in some cases they say, well, we need someone from Sarpy County, or we need someone from the business community, or someone from the minorities in the arts, or in different businesses, in the trades. And that was part of my duties, to look for new members and inviting them to join us. We need to also part of our duties is to interact and bring our contacts in order to help. In many ways, I kind of participated a little bit on conversations with mutual stakeholders in South Omaha when they were about to build the automotive center. And also, we also need to financially contribute to the board in a minimum and volunteer aspect, actually, but it's part of the ethics that we commit to. And it's basically try to help from that board improving and the quality of the work to be done as in the operating way here later in the college for the students.
What kind of impact do you see or do you hope that the foundation has for our students?
In one way, I think part of my contribution to the foundation is to bring them closer to the grassroots, at least in the Hispanic community, to the needs of the bilingual community who want or need to be educated. I totally understand, which I didn't before. I totally understand now more than ever the importance of the trades in the economy. Before I didn't. I was raised in a family where I couldn't say not to go to college to get
only option
a major. So and my community or where I grew up, that was the same case. So I'm more. I understood better that, and specifically in a city like this, the trades have played a huge role in the economy. So I would like me to be a catalyst or at least a connection with the graduates and the colleges. That's one of the things that I expect the board to help to be the nexus with the college, with the community, and to be accessible to many more people. And I think there's more people taking advantage of what Metro offers, way more than before.
Oh yeah.
I love what the alliance with Miller Public Schools for the high school kids. I hope they hopefully in the close future reach an agreement with OPS as well, and because that makes a difference in the future of many people.
Yeah, the partnership with all of our high schools, but with Millard South, last year they had 140 high school students graduate with an associate degree the same weekend that they graduated with their high school diploma, and that's insane.
Nuts! It's so nuts.
Yeah,
we need that in a bigger scale. So hopefully OPS is. I don't know what's the reason, but hopefully they reach an agreement.
Yeah, we're willing to work with whoever wants to work with us on that.
Exactly.
Don't call us personally.
Yeah,
we have no pull in that.
I have no say. Maybe I can direct you to somebody, but I have no say in that.
And even then, we got new phones, and I don't know how they work. So actually, maybe don't call me either.
So, I believe I also heard that besides the foundation, you also help with some activities on campus. Is that correct?
Well, part of as a board member, we help with some activities. Yes, for example, there's scholarship awards or event in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be helping there. Sometimes, of course, they want us to be there just not only to be a role model, they're also for us to get to see what is actually to be a student and what a scholarship means for many families. Many of us, we finished college many years ago, so it looks like yesterday for us. But then when we are seeing a student enjoying or getting to the final goal, then you realize, man, it's been a while that I've been in school, in college, or looking for a future, right? So that's one of the things that I'm involved. I might help this year again with membership, helping to bring more board members. I usually, of course, my forte or my network is mainly with the bilingual community, and so that I hope to bring some business people like me to help.
I think that only makes us better. I think there's such a large population in Nebraska, but in Omaha specifically, of people who either are bilingual or don't yet speak English that probably would like to learn English. Again, it is. I can't imagine living in a country and not knowing the language. I mean, you'd figure it out, but
Yeah.
It's not only the English language learning processes. We have a lot of immigrants who were doctors in their countries, engineers or professors or teachers, and they are not going forward because you have to take some credit hours, in many cases, you have to restart again in order to get your degree back. And I hope
so frustrating.
I hope the metro is one of the ways for them to get back to that. I know people who finally decided to go and become a lawyer once again after 20 years that they stopped being lawyers back in their countries, and they are helping our community. Teachers, I know many people who are in a position to teach, and there's a huge need of bilingual teachers in town.
Oh, I believe that.
Huge, and there's many people who could do that, and metro should be one of the routes one of the steps that they take in order to get there.
So what would be your advice to somebody who was either wanted to do our ESL program or was in the middle of it?
Yes, to take it seriously. I'm gonna say something that maybe people don't like, but it's yes, there are a lot of affordable, or maybe way more affordable, or maybe for free classes, and I wouldn't advise if you want to speed up the process of understanding the language and then getting into the system, because for us, when you arrive to any country, it's not only the language. First is the language. Then once you get a little fluent, then you have to learn the system, which is more difficult.
Right.
Way, way more difficult. And but it's step by step. So many people get frustrated because they came when they are over 25, 30 years or 40 years of age, and they want to get back to the status that they had in their places, or maybe, I deserve more because I already went to college. Yeah, but if you delay the process of learning the language, you're not going to live a happy life that you think you deserve or that you deserve. I'm not saying there's many people out there who teach English classes for free, and God bless them, because many people actually do it well.
Yeah.
And same thing with some classes at night in places. But Metro Community College is pretty affordable anyways, and serious, and people with the skills and who went to college to know, to learn how to teach, right? And so I would say take it seriously. And other things, parallel is now is even more easy than before to access to what you were used to the TV series. Now there's the internet, which in my time, it wasn't that available, and so I would say avoid everything like that and just concentrating in listening to things in English, the radio station in English. Forget about the channels in Spanish language for the ones who speak Spanish, and just. I know it sounds difficult, it sounds extreme, but it's gonna save many bad moments or bad feelings in the close future.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard a lot of, especially kids who came to the U.S. They came as kids, and in an hour they're like, I learned English watching TV.
I've heard that too.
And there is something about learning English in a classroom setting, and then also learning English watching people interact, whether it's a comedy or what. It's like, picking up on how we tell jokes and what there's just like
social
nuances
cues and context
to all of those things. I think I just learning a language is just like the first piece of it. But yeah, you're right. This whole system around everything else is.
A kid could learn English by watching TV. When you are not a kid anymore, you need something else.
Oh,
yes, you have to read the books, but at the same time, watch the news in the language that you don't understand at the beginning, and you are not going to. I mean, I have something funny, quotation marks, that happened to me. On September 11, we had one car, and I was driving my wife to work, and I was coming back to take a shower, get dressed, and I used to go to work later than my wife. And so I went back to have breakfast, to a shower, and then I was driving to work. And then I used to listen to, I don't know if I can mention names of radio shows.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I believe it or not, many of Latinos, we like heavy metal. We like heavy rock music. So, I used to listen a lot to Z92.
Oh my God.
And
Todd and Tyler.
Todd and Tyler in the morning.
Yeah.
And when I was driving back to work, and when I was driving, I used to listen to them in the mornings, no matter what. My wife used to complain, and those guys are just speaking; they are not listening to music. Yeah, but I want to hear, and actually, I'm kind of understanding that they are only all about jokes and slangs.
Yeah.
So I also need to know how the people speak.
Yeah.
In the streets, right? And as part of the getting immersed in the community. And so I was listening to these guys, and they were about jokes. And then September 11 came. I was driving back to work, and I heard them so serious speaking about the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a joke. And because of course nobody could imagine that could happen in New York in the Twin Towers, and these guys are they are crossing the line now with this joke.
Yeah,
but it's and then I drove like 15 minutes and they kept going, and I said, man, maybe this thing is truth. But because I didn't understand the language pretty well, so to me, I understood something happened in the Twin Towers. I understood that something involving terrorism happened. But it was coming from this guy, so I wasn't sure it was a joke or not. When I got to the office, I learned when this thing is real, and but that was part of learning the language to me. I mean, it's to me maybe it was going to be easier just to put a radio station in Spanish and listen into it. But up to now, I still call the 1-800 numbers in English, and at the time I had the option in Spanish. But again, I prefer to make mistakes. But just to speed up the process, because I was already 28 when I came back, and I wanted to be in a different stage of my life, and so I had to learn the language quicker, right?
Yeah. Oh, and again, like we said earlier, I think being in a class with, again, people who don't speak English, but also don't speak your native language either. But everyone's in the same boat, and you just have to do it.
You have nowhere to go but forward, basically. With that,
it's like jumping out of a plane. Somebody just has to gotta push out. You just got to do it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because otherwise, I'm going to stay in the plane. It's
otherwise, you can circle and land it right on back. Otherwise,
if somebody wanted to get involved with the MCC Foundation, what would you tell them?
I would say it's a good opportunity to give back to the community, for sure, through a board that helps an institution which is totally proven that is doing a lot for our communities, and also opening new doors that we didn't. That usually, an educational entity. Metro Community College does way more than just educating people. Metro Community College, it's an asset in the community. It's a home for many of us. I mean, there's different events. The culinary arts for people that wasn't here when I was studying English. There's so many people now that they own small mom and pop restaurants, coffee shops, or food trucks. Now they have a state-of-the-art place where they have all the equipment, and they can learn not only how to cook, because maybe many people know how to cook, but they can learn how to save in fixed costs or expenses, or how to do a budget, how to prepare a financial statement, or how to knock a door how to go to a bank and knock a door in order to get a loan, business loan. Several things, financial education they do here. For the the Toyota or South Oma for our automotive education center. That's a big plus that we didn't have here, and it's the equipment there is amazing. I mean, I don't know anything about repairing cars, but I would say if someone knows, they're gonna have a blast.
Oh yeah, every time I walk into the automotive building, I'm like, wow,
I don't know, cool.
I don't know what any of this is, but I am enthralled.
I am too. But I think that's also what's cool, like, as someone on the foundation, to be able to see all this kind of thing. But you can really tell people, like, MCC has most likely served a student like you. Like, we've served a student who wants to come here and learn English to better their life. We've served students who have an interest in the culinary arts and maybe want to go past the cooking part and look at it as a whole business and be able to do that. We've served students who just need a couple credits to finish their degree. And so I think that's what's cool, is there's kind of someone like you probably somewhere on one of our campuses,
at
whoever you are. Yeah, at any time. And they've been here already. They're still here. You know, that's, I think, what's very cool about what we do here.
Exactly. We have people in our community who know how to cook, and they think, well, I can run a business. Yes, you can, but maybe you can be more efficient, and you can get to whatever goal you have with your business if you get educated first. And mechanic people, you know, or maybe some kids are listening and their parents, they want them to go to 4-year school.
Yeah.
And they don't want to. But and you know, you're in that stage of your life that many of us were, where we want to do something our parents don't want to, because they want the best for us, but at the same time, we are the ones who need to bring the alternatives or the solutions to our parents and say, you know, well, you are proposing this, I was proposing that, but now Metro Community College offers these, and maybe let me try this first and then see, because anyways, I'm going to get something positive no matter what happened if I go through MCC. If you're a mechanic, I have a friend of mine who actually does a similar case. He wanted his kid to go to a 4-year school, college, and the kid didn't want to. And they fought like for 2 years, and his kid wasn't was wasting his life. And then he finally said, Dad, I really want to be a mechanic. I like to fix cars. So he went to Metro, and in not even a year later, he was working in a real good company fixing cars. He finished Metro. He was hired by one of the biggest construction companies in town to fix their trucks. And with a huge salary and a lot of benefits. And his dad now, he just smiles. You know?
Eating his words a little bit.
Exactly.
But in a good way, because it all turned out so good.
Exactly. So there's many ways to find your path, and Metro guides you about that. If you are not sure about going to a 4 years college, this is a good start. And maybe you finish here, you get a good job, and then in the process you decide to go to a university. You can do it. You save some steps.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and chatting with us today.
Yes, this is fun.
Yeah, it was nice.
Thank you guys. Anytime. This what you're doing is another sample that Metro is not a rigid institution, right? It's a down-to-earth entity where people listen and you convey stories from different aspects in life.
Yeah, I think one thing that we like about this podcast is we do talk a lot about what we do here.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is like we have our community magazine, which we love and is amazing. But there's one thing of like reading somebody's story and another thing about hearing it from them in their tone and all of that. I think it brings a whole new life to the college.
Another dimension to things.
Great. If you ever need us if some people are listening to us and they want to learn about real estate in any aspect, as we own rental properties, but at the same time we represent buyers and sellers, they can reach out to us. We have one kid in our business who came with us when he was 17 years old. He's 21 now. He's a realtor. But when he came with us, he said, "I don't want to be a realtor." So we put the guy. I mean, he did an excellent job, and he came for an internship with the city together with a Latino Center of the Midlands and South High. They have a program where kids can go and work in the summer for different businesses, and this entity they pay them for that internship. This kid did an amazing job with us, so we created a position for him because we didn't want to lose him. But he's been with us for 4 years. Whatever his future is, he learned something. And, when he told me, "I don't want to be a realtor," I respect that, but I want you to get your license anyways, because who knows what's going to happen with you in your future when you leave us. Maybe he has a right to go and work in something else or for someone else. But at least you have something under your another asset for you.
Yeah.
So here we are for anyone.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah.
MCC Made with Emma Frazier and Katherine Rakes. Produced by Emma Frazier. Production support by Herdat.
Got a question for us? Email mccmade@mccneb.edu, and your question may be answered on a future podcast.